So we're doing a kind of a segment for you Substream viewers where we're going to talk about what is playing at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. In the fall of 2011. The film festival ended about a month ago, but we are lucky and fortunate enough to be in a city where there is a lot going on film-wise because the Toronto International Film Festival group programs all year.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Lightbox is the big change in all of our lives since, like, say, TIFF 09, which is that festival's over, yet festival continues.
We always had a cinematheque that these folks ran, but this is a different thing.
Yeah, this sort of felt like it brought together that cinematheque experience and also mainstream movie going in a way that's really exciting. These are the programs between now and Christmas.
Yes.
They have the Grace Kelly exhibit, they have the Von Trier retrospective, the Nicholas Ray retrospective, the Henri-Georges Clouzot retrospective, they have Fright Nights with Guillermo del Toro, Icy Fire, the Hitchcock Blondes, Python in Excelsis, which includes some Gilliam films as well as the Python films. They have Back to the 80s Teen Edition, Family Classics, and new releases. That's between now and January.
Yes.
Like, that's a monumental quantity of programming.
It is a lot.
We can't obviously talk about everything, but I want to kind of hit some highlights of some of the key programs. All through TIFF before the films, there was this ad for the Grace Kelly exhibit.
So last year, to kind of open this building, they went to the Museum of Modern Art, which had a big Tim Burton exhibit, and they brought that exhibit that another museum had kind of put together and curated and made it like the centerpiece of their year in terms of the exhibit space here.
Right.
So this year, to try to, I think, expand it more, rather than going outward to someone else, they've curated this themselves in-house and tried to pick something that's somewhat of international interest, because I think the idea is to start it here, run it here for a few months, build some reputation for it, and then it will travel.
Right.
If the ad is to be believed, we will be seeing her Oscar, her private letters, costumes
and stuff, like, because the thing about Grace Kelly is that she did transition from being a movie star to being an actual princess. And so they're going to kind of chart that evolution from one side to the other. And that ties in, like you said, to the Hitchcock stuff.
Grace Kelly is as emblematic of this kind of idea of Hitchcock and these sort of unattainable female figures, and this sense that women are to be almost studied from afar rather than actually interacted with. One thing I was going to say about the Hitchcock thing and about Grace Kelly and about these various women that Tippi Hedren and Janet Leigh and all of the sort of iconic actresses that are a part of this exhibit. The one actress sort of most notably blonde and of that era who is not a part of the Hitchcock sort of thing is Marilyn Monroe. You know, Marilyn Monroe could not be icy. She could not be distant. Her entire appeal was to be present and really spontaneous and almost reaching through the screen at you, whereas all of these women are very, like, pulled back and inside themselves.
Yeah. If you had to pick two from Hitchcock that are the must-sees for anybody who wants to see this, what would they be?
So, of the ones that are playing, Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, To Catch a Thief, Psycho, 39 Steps, and The Birds. Man Who Knew Too Much, Marty, Family Plot, North by Northwest. There are a lot. I mean, the obvious choices are Rear Window and North by Northwest in terms of just the best movies.
Let's move on to Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he's programming a few films for Halloween, and some of them are like, I mean, I would say anyone who hasn't seen The Devil's Backbone, which is one of his sort of smaller films that he made about 10 years ago, you've got to go see that. But for me, the big draw for the Guillermo del Toro thing is just come and see him. Like, he's doing a talk, I think, on the 27th or 28th of October. I saw him speak before Suspiria in the summer, and he is just an encyclopedia of an extraordinary number of things, like not just film related. He knows mythology, he knows the history of horror, he knows the history of film.
Yeah.
The guy, he reads everything. Like, he's just one of the smartest speakers I have ever heard speak. So if you can come out to see GDT, I highly recommend that. And then also, he's got some great films coming into the program. And he's pulling out a Canadian classic, which is My Bloody Valentine. If you have any doubts about whether you should see that, watch the trailer on YouTube. The trailer's a work of art.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the only Canadian horror film that we're going to get to see, right? Are we going to talk about The Mask?
Yeah, we got to talk about The Mask. They're opening, this is a rare Canadian 3D.
Can we show the picture?
Yeah.
Because that picture, that is something.
So The Mask is a Canadian 3D horror movie from the 1960s, and if I'm remembering my history correctly, it's the first Canadian movie that got a wide release in the United States. 50 years later, we're still talking about 3D, and this was because of its 3D pushed into the United States as no Canadian feature film had been up to that time. So I've never seen it, but I'm certainly fascinated to see the mask.
I had never even heard of it, so it is a horror film.
Yeah. The Interrupters is a documentary that's playing right now. Very good film from the director of Hoop Dreams. What's interesting about the Lightbox is that they tend to put stuff like this in here for like a week or 2 weeks, and then depending on how it does, they seem to extend the runs. Like Interrupters was only supposed to play for a week, but it's doing so well enough that they've extended the run once, and I believe they just announced today they've extended it again. So it's good. It seems like they've got kind of a fluid approach to the distribution to sort of see where the audience is. They'll give the audiences the chance to find the films, which in conventional movie-going has been a greater and greater challenge of late. So that's what... Stop it. That's what's playing at the Lightbox this season. We're going to try to do this on a regular basis for the substream, so every quarter we're going to come back and talk about what's coming up. Couldn't be happier that the Lightbox is here. We're Matt and Matt from the Mamo podcast. We'll check you next time.
Sounds good.